Check the link in the description box below for other videos in this masterclass series. In a previous video, I hit the backhand volleys from the left-hand side of the court. That's the easier side to hit the balls from. Today we're going to work on the right-hand side of the court, and I'm going to talk about why some of those balls can be a little bit more difficult to hit. Go watch that video of me hitting volleys from the left-hand side of the court. I'm not going to cover everything today that I covered in that video, and some of those things you're going to need to know. A couple of things to know about hitting backhand volleys from this right-hand side of the court. I'm probably going to get more of them than I am on that left-hand side of the court where my backhand is out on that sideline. So it's more common for me to get backhand volleys from this side of the court. Second thing is, a couple of the shots that I demoed in that previous video don't work as well here. First one is, this ball comes into my shoulder on my backhand side. I was hitting those off on this big angle to go over to this corner on my right hand side. That doesn't work as well when I'm standing on this right hand side of the court because I don't have as much court over there anymore. More of it's out of bounds. If I hit that same sharp angle, that ball goes out. Second thing was, as I was hitting those balls with this ball all the way out the side, it wanted to go straight. If I'm standing on this right hand side of the corner and that ball goes straight, it goes right down the middle. Not a problem. My problem is, how do I get the ball over to this left-handed corner? A little bit more difficult to do. We're going to go through both of those situations today and talk about how to hit both of those balls. First shot we'll look at this morning is, this ball's coming into my shoulder. I have my paddle out here. It naturally wants to go off on the sharp angle. If I do that from this side, that ball goes out of bounds. What we have to do is move away from that ball a little bit, get this ball out a little bit wider, where this goes into the bend of my elbow. And as we learned in the previous video, that ball wants to go down to the center of the court. Now, if I'm standing over here, that's really down to that corner now. It's not really to the center of the court. We're just moving away a little bit so that ball wants to stay in bounds. If I hit the ball out here in the bend of my elbow, now it wants to go to that corner. Let's go drill that and see what it looks like. All right, first position, I'm going to try and set up so this ball comes into my shoulder. We remember from the previous video, my paddle's out in front. This wants to go off on this big angle. That doesn't work from over here. All of that court's out of bounds. So how do I fix that? I have to slide away from the ball a little bit, get this out in the bend of my elbow, and now it more naturally wants to go to that corner now. Still trying to keep my, I was late on that one. Still trying to keep my non-paddle hand on the back of this paddle. If I can feel where this paddle is, I have a better understanding of the angle of the paddle and where it is in space. My shot will go a little bit better. I'm still going to miss some of these, but it's much better than not having that hand on the back of the paddle. As I talked about in the previous video, if I don't have the ability to generate much power here, I can drop this non-paddle side foot back, give me more room to swing a little bit, turn my shoulders into this and add some power to it. Want to look that ball all the way in. Exhale every time I'm hitting these balls. Just trying to get this ball out in the crook of my elbow. So from this side, that will put that ball in the corner. That one didn't go there. That one I floated a little bit, but that's what that looks like. Get this ball out in the bend of your elbow. It will more easily go to that corner. All right, second position then. Now I want to go straight down the middle. I have to slide away from the ball even further. So we remember from previous video, if I'm reaching all the way out to the side, paddles even with my body, this ball wants to go straight down the middle of the court. So if that's where I want to go, I want to move so that this ball naturally wants to go down the middle of the court. If I get way over here, for me to get it down the middle is pretty tough. Don't want to do that. So if I've got both people back and I just want to put this ball right between them, then I want to be away from this ball. And as I talked about in the previous video, I can drop this side of my body back a little bit, give me some room to swing if I have trouble generating power. But I just want to put this ball down the middle. Still trying to keep my non-paddle hand on the back side of this paddle and swing forward. Give me a little bit of shoulder rotation. A little bit early on that ball. Right, but that's how we get this ball to go down the middle of the court. Not like that. More like that. All right, this is the hard one. If you're going to hit this shot in the game, you really should be practicing this off to this corner to my left. So as I talked about, I want to go straight down the middle. like that, and the paddle's all the way out to the side. So I'm waiting and waiting for this ball to get out here. For me to go that way, I've got to be even later, which means if I drop this foot back, I have a better chance to go that way. It's still a difficult shot to pull off. So if I'm in a game and my desire is to hit this ball to that corner, I have to realize up front I need to concentrate a little bit more to be able to pull this shot off. I have to be way more patient and let this ball come back even behind me a little bit. Way too late on that one, right? And I've got this foot drop back. So in a game, I'm being here, I would be dropping this foot back to get this ball to go into this corner. Otherwise, it's not going to go there. I can't really control that any other way. So you can tell, ready position, I want to go over here to this person if they're the weaker player for whatever reason, or they're lefty, and that's their backhand side. If I can drop this foot back and get away from this ball and let this ball get behind me a little bit, I have a much better chance of getting this ball into the corner. But during the game, I need to understand that it's a tougher shot, and my focus really needs to be there to be able to hit this ball. Same thing again, non-paddle hand on the back of this paddle, swinging forward with the paddle. I can feel this paddle all the way going forward, trying to exhale every time I hit, trying to keep my eye on this ball all the way in. If I can do that, I've got a pretty good chance of getting this ball down in that corner. That's a much tougher ball. That's a much tougher angle to hit. If I'm in a game and this ball's coming at me and I want to go in that corner, I have to focus a little bit harder, drop this non-paddle side of my body back, be really patient, let this ball get back here, and really focus, exhale, stay relaxed, all those things I talked about. If you're going to do this in a game, you need to understand when this ball is coming in and I'm making this decision, that's where I want to go. I have to understand that that's a tough shot, and I have to focus more than normal. Otherwise, it's probably not going to go very well. All right, that's the backhand volleys from the kitchen line. You need to drill both sides of the court. Both sides of the court are not the same. This right-hand side's a little bit tougher because this angled shot, when it's up on my shoulder, is going to go out of bounds. I've got to know ahead of time to slide away a little bit, get this ball out in the bend of my elbow. If I drill this enough, I don't have to think about it during the game. My brain goes, I know how to hit this shot. I've just got to slide away a little bit, get this ball out here, not so far in front, out in the bend of my elbow, it will go in that corner. Same thing on the shot down the middle. If I drill this enough, my body understands this. If I want to go down the middle between those two players, I slide away, ball's out here, paddles back even with my body, that ball will go down the middle of that court. That last angle off to the left corner is tough. You really need to drill that. I've got to be a lot more patient. I've got to drop this side of the foot, my body back, let this ball get back behind me a little bit to get it into that corner. So we know where a ball naturally wants to go. In the shoulder on either side, it wants to go off on this angle. All the way out on either side, forehand or backhand, that ball wants to go straight. And then at the bend of the elbow, it kind of wants to go to the middle of that court. We know where those balls want to go naturally. If that's not where I want it to go, I've got to move. That ball is on this flight path. That ball is not changing directions, so I have to move. This ball's coming in my shoulder, it goes off on this angle. If that's not where I want it to go, I have to move, right? I move here or I move all the way out. That's how we figure out how to get that ball to easily want to go in a different direction. That third thing was we need to be able to diagnose. So if I hit this ball and I want to go at that corner, it's coming into my shoulder, then if it's off to the right, I got out way earlier. The earlier I get out here, the farther off on this angle that goes. If I want to go straight or I want to go to that corner, but it's off to the left, I got there late. So the later I am, it goes off to my left, me being a righty. We need to understand that dynamic and understand that's why that ball went where it went. I get out early, goes off on the angle. I get out late, it never makes it back on the court. Same thing on the forehand side. The earlier I get out, the more left this ball wants to go. The later I get my paddle there, the more right it wants to go. Maybe it never came back on the court. Last thing to diagnose is, did that ball go up too high? Did I float it? Did it go down into the net, or was it okay? This top edge matters. This top edge is rolled forward of its bottom counterpart. That ball is going down. The farther forward that top edge is, you can tell the more down that ball goes. If I'm floating these balls up or giving them a high ball, that top edge was behind this bottom counterpart. That ball goes up. Same thing on the other side. Top edge is back, ball goes up. Top edge is forward, the ball goes down. We have to figure out what that angle feels like, drill that and drill that. And then in a game, right, we're looking at where did that ball go? It went too far to the right and it went too high. And I can diagnose what happened and try and fix that on the very next shot. If we're drilling, that next shot is a couple seconds away, we have a chance to make that correction. That's the great thing about drilling. Go drill.